It's 14:16 on the 22nd of June, and I'm on the point, so present and pertinent, of proximity of repeat offenders that insist on breaking the law and that insist in ignoring the consequences of their actions since they intruded upon me in January 2017. There are people in my proximity that are putting more children's lives at risk, and beyond the fact and point that the HSE have been implicated with their systems being interfered with and their issues that they took with personal information that wasn't handled in the proper disclosure measures, being also quite relevant to what is occurring right now. There are doctors that are already in a little bit of trouble with the Hippocratic Oath, and there are people brazening it, as I keep reiterating, and they just are convoluting a very dangerous charade. And I'm worried about their mental health, I really am. But even more so, I'm worried about the children in their care or in their proximity when they're suffering from a mental illness or an obstacle of the mind that prevents them from understanding that they have no right or remit. These people are insisting on intruding upon a person and offending a person that they owe their lives to. There have been people's lives saved as a consequence of me, and there have been people's wealth recovered as a consequence of me, and I'm still confronted with ignorance and belligerence and brazenness, and it is so dangerous for the little baby boys and girls of those people who are lucky still to have the good prospects of a future ahead of them to be disrespecting my gifts and the present circumstances in this dirty little situation that has started in 2006 and continues to this day. Now, there's laundering that has been happening and really dangerous financial fraud. And the issue that happened here now is that financial fraud has been from my fortunes as well. And there are people that have gotten lost and bewildered with God issues. And they've become quite mentally unstable as a consequence of preoccupying themselves with my Fernan ancestors. They've been overconsumed with my beautiful Fernan heritage, and they've done awful disrespect to the heritage of my Fernan family, unfortunately, and the O'Regan family that I have. So there's many aspects in trees with different branches, but in particular they've been quite consumed with the Fernans, and they've disrespected our history and our heritage, and they've disrespected their debts that they owe me. So these people are still in the proximity that is unsafe for their little baby boys and girls, simply for the simple fact that they're not of good faith, they're not of good practices, and they don't seem to have a good agenda or a good cause. So I feel like I'm being offended again without people being of restitution, reparations, and without even a shred of shame. I have seen people walk past on this street, and this is where I've been born and bred. And these people are brazening it without even a shred of shame with regard to the dangers of their debts. And it is all about their financial racketeering, and it's all about their fraud and fraud and fraud and fraud. Now, there is an issue about people of the mental health capacity that aren't treating the actual mental health issues. So what I'm contending with are Asbos with mental health issues and people with very dirty mouths offending my lovely Fernan heritage to get onto farms that they're not very safe on. Whether there's any acknowledgement by those that are supposed to be adult and not Asbo. The law is in black and white, and there are people that have gone down the rabbit hole searching for God and harmonizing with my spiritual purpose and embarrassing everybody. So the situation as it is, I have a lot of I suppose grievances about people overstepping on my farms or upon my child. My child has been traumatized, and like any mother, I have a grievance. And we know how mothers are. We're very territorial, we're very protective, and we don't like ignorant people being cheeky, spending money they don't own. So it's very unsafe for the doctors that have disrespected their Hippocratic Oath on behalf of bad publicity. People taking ownership of what they think is bodily integrity, and they in the midst of blasphemy. Now, there are dirty circumstances of dirty people that are putting their name to spiritual gifts that I don't think are very safe for them to be interacting or engaging with. considering that they're not safe with Wicca and they're not safe with the Catholic Church. So these people haven't thought about where they're safe on holy grounds or where they're unsafe. And at the moment, there are people, as I've mentioned, in my proximity, walking on the street where they owe money and actually having the cheek to talk about anything or anyone where they are of repeat crimes against the state, making them enemies of the state. And the legislation regarding clean water as a consequence of my gifts, purposes and contributions as a humanitarian royal to society worldwide, and these little collective nuisances in this county being ignorant enough to cheek it out and be brazen enough to show more ignorant behaviour with royalty. It's very dangerous, the child that they took in January 2017, but they've been causing problems prior to 2017. Back to 2006 they've been making problems. So the issue of not only children but lovely fresh clean drinking water as a consequence of my recovery advocacy isn't going to be very safe disrespecting by Asbos that aren't being adult. So those people that are in my proximity making other little baby boys and girls unsafe would really want to move away from this situation until they have the reparations ready to, that they have to, you know. So those people that owe debts better be very careful about how unsafe they are on my farms. Those that have defamed my name or participated in false reporting, that have been walking in and around my proximity. This is unsafe for protocol, not just Brexit protocol. It's unsafe also for royal protocol. So those people that think they're above the law, risking their lovely children, I hope you're aware of how unsafe it is. It's not safe for anyone's health to be disrespected, especially as I'm of COVID-19. It's not very safe for people to be making money where they haven't been playing clean. And it's not safe to be dirty in water, since my humanitarian endeavours did so much to keep the waters clean in this society and beyond. So those that are being a bit ignorant with me, I hope that Garda Síochána aren't concerned too much about their children's safety. I'm hoping that there are people that know better than to be speaking about other people's private lives, breaching confidentiality and the cost of defamation. So these people that are ducking and diving their dirty debts, I hate to say it, but the children are going to have to pay it instead. So it seems that they're not going to be too favourable with the Tooth Fairy and any companies that are associating themselves with my proximity or property or patronage are putting themselves at risk. So it would be in the best interest of frauds that have dirty debts not to risk the little boys and girls. It's a really sad sign of the times. But if there's someone intelligent and smart enough to locate my child that was unlawfully separated from me as a consequence of unlawful care orders and the Tusa Child and Family Agency, it would really be smart for people to be respectful of royalty from here. Those that are ducking and dodging and thinking they're walking onto my farms, my goodness, I don't know if these people know the mother's love concept. So mind your mental health. Be careful about proximity and trespassing and intruding and speaking so ill of sanity and sobriety when your people have been so dangerously blasphemous. It's so embarrassing. But until my child is restored, I hate to dread to think how people are going to have to cope with the outcome of this circumstance. Innocent life, as they say in Islam, one innocent life ever irresponsibly or recklessly harmed. This is only paraphrasing, but one innocent life and humanity, you know, is compromised. But thankfully, we have clean drinking water as a consequence of my recovery advocacy. Those people that have been taking credit for academic and research recovery of my advocacy, I have to say that's also penalised. So anyone out back west ducking and diving and disrespecting Eleanor Roosevelt and Miss Roosevelt's Declaration of Human Rights, anyone out in the west of Ireland, out in the Danganikush area, taking credit for my COVID-19 legislation after 20 years, I hate to say that that's insulting the Declaration of Human Rights. It's insulting recovery advocacy of my fellowships that I represent, and it's also insulting academia. So I'm hoping that people might be having some little bit of a cup uh, on session with the reality, without wearing blinkers or without being silly. These people have hoodwinked themselves for so long. It's ridiculous. 20 years now they're causing problems like Asbo's, but now the government, the Dáil offices, they have been contacted and I'm still waiting. It's 2023 and Dáil were contacted in 2017. So how do they feel about the Department of Agriculture's policies? And I having represented the Department of Agriculture and my farm's subject to fraud. Just so curious what the Department of Agriculture feels about that. Like, it's so dangerous messing with Mother Nature and Mother's love. It's really been tainted and scarred. So it's a sad sign of the times. But these people are cheeky, they're ignorant, and they obviously aren't up to scratch. But they have obstructed, unfortunately, the good offices of our democracy from doing their duty. So those people that are living off my legislation, I hope they know how I feel about this matter, and the children of anyone that owes me any debts unmet. It's really embarrassing. But it's even worse walking into other people's private lives and talking out of place. So those that can't do their jobs properly, the tooth fairies and the little babies, I'll be praying for them because of their bad parents and adults that are in their lives that are making a shameful experience again in County Kerry. So, to the Child and Family Agency, you have a child illegally from my care, and there seems to be an issue about arithmetic and literacy. And anyone altering or editing my holy matrimony of the 30th of the 3rd, 2015, oh dear God, I hope the Vatican is aware of how dangerous it is to interfere with my royal ancestry or any church records that are of the Catholic faith, and anyone speaking about blasphemy as defame. So if people aren't deluded enough, how long much more do they want to incur more problems upon their lives? They've been speaking out of place, they've been saying things they shouldn't have been saying, and they haven't been doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they certainly haven't been spending what they have, time, effort and energy in the right way at all. So it's a sad sign of the times. The longer you want to bury your head in the sand, how many more people are going to be buried as a consequence of people that haven't been playing upright and that have been, I suppose, sad. Seasonal affective disorder sad.